Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar where we'll be discussing the importance of insurance within superannuation. My name is Kelly Barnes and I'm a Fund Services Manager here at Brighter Super. Now we meet with our members on a regular basis, and as part of our discussions is the importance of understanding the options available within your superannuation for your insurance cover. It is one of our most popular topics at our seminars, and I hope by the end of this session you will have gained a further understanding of the importance of insurance cover. I recognise this is a heavy subject and for your midday viewing, but hope that you stay with me as we talk through what we can about a more complex topic. So Brighter Super acknowledges the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We acknowledge and celebrate the continuation of a living culture that has a unique role in this region. And before we go any further, it's important to understand that the information and examples contained in the webinar today are general in nature and have been prepared without taking into account your individual objectives and financial situations or needs. It is important when making decisions about your super options that you obtain the relevant product disclosure statement and target market determination and consider your own personal circumstance. You can access these documents in the policy and financial services guide from our Brighter Super website. Today's presentation will run for about 30 minutes. You may have submitted questions earlier, which we have tried to incorporate into our presentation today. You can also post questions in the Q&A feature during our presentation today, which we will aim to answer at the end. We also have Laura standing by as our moderator today. She's been with the fund for 7 years and she is regularly out in the field providing super health checks to members in different regions all over Queensland. I'd like to invite Laura to come on and quickly say hello.
Thank you, Kelly. Lovely introduction. I'm more than looking forward to answering your questions today. As Kel said, just drop it into the Q&A feature and I will either answer it or I will let you know that we'll answer it live for you as well. Thanks.
Thanks, Laura. Should we have time for questions at the end? Obviously, we'll try and answer them if we can, as well as Laura just mentioned. We'll also be running some poll questions throughout today's presentation. When the question pops up on your screen, please just click the answer that is most appropriate to you. Before we move into our main topic, I would just like to take the opportunity to briefly explain who we are. The merger between LGIA Super and Energy Super, plus the acquisition of Suncorp Super, has enabled us to increase our size and our scale, yet we remain committed to investing in the personalised member services that you know and enjoy. We serve over 250,000 members with over 30 billion in funds under management. Our My Super option is ranked in the top 5 funds in the peer super ratings last financial year. Now let's talk all about insurance. So I'm sure you know, insurance is something that most people know is good to have. Most people have insurance for their assets like their cars and their homes. However, what a lot of people don't think about is insuring themselves. We insure our cars and our homes to make sure we have a way to getting from A to B and to make sure we have a functional roof over our head. But what happens when something happens to us? What if we can't work temporarily? And what if we never can ever again? Or what happens if we pass away? Our ability to provide an income for ourselves and our loved ones is paramount to this life. Without it, our life and the life of our loved ones could look very, very different. This is why making sure you are appropriately insured for the ifs and the buts and the maybes is as important or even more important than the other insurances we have in our life. And that is why I applaud you all for joining us at this webinar today to learn more about what insurance you may have with your superannuation, along with what we can help to protect you and your family and how to get you there. Insurance cover can assist many Australians at difficult moments in their lives. Here are some statistics around why insurance is so important. In the 2023 financial year, $11.8 billion was paid out in insurance claims in the life insurance industry. Insurance can be provided to you by your superannuation fund, working to protect you and your loved ones. It's obvious here that these insurances within our superannuation provide significant financial protection, with the trustee working with the insurance companies to ensure best member outcomes, and as a result, above 90% insurance acceptance rates on average. Insurance is there when we need it most to provide financial support in the hardest of times when people are ill, grieving, or vulnerable. Protecting yourself and your loved ones through insurance gives peace of mind, knowing your finances are one less thing you need to worry about. So generally, your superannuation fund will offer default insurances when you have a balance over $6,000 and you are over 25 years of age. These insurances are death insurance, total and permanent disability cover, and income protection insurance. We also get the question from time to time if we offer other types of insurances, such as health insurance or hospital cover. Due to legislation surrounding insurance and superannuation, most funds are restricted to the 3 types of cover shown here. These insurances are built into your superannuation account with the premiums generally taken from the balance of your account. Let's have a look at each of these in a little bit more detail. We will be using the word underwriting during this presentation, just an FYI for everyone. So it's important to understand what the underwriting process involves. When you want to increase your insurance cover outside of life and age events, you generally need to go through this underwriting process. Don't worry, we will cover what life and age events are in more detail later in this presentation, but the underwriting process involves completing a detailed health questionnaire about your existing health conditions. As with any insurance application, it's important to answer the questions honestly and accurately. The health questionnaire helps the insurer to determine how much cover is appropriate and at what cost. One of our pre-submitted questions from Miranda asked if medical checks were required. As a part of the underwriting process, there may be a requirement for you to complete medical checks, although this is dependent on the information provided in the application. So first of all, death insurance is paid out on your passing as a lump sum payment to your beneficiaries. This is generally paid out along with the balance of your superannuation account, either when the account is closed or transferred to a reversionary beneficiary. Death cover can also be paid out if you have been diagnosed with a terminal illness, payable as a lump sum to you, along with the balance of your superannuation account if you choose. As mentioned previously, most super funds offer death insurance as a default level of cover. However, it can be increased or decreased if you believe the default cover isn't correct for you. As mentioned in our previous slide, if you are requesting an increase in cover, this may need to go through that underwriting process. As a reminder, this is where the insurer may ask that series of health questions to determine if you are eligible to change, and the premium may change as well. We will talk more about changing your level of cover later in our presentation today. Death cover is important as it helps support your loved ones financially. The lump sum payment that can be used to pay off things like mortgages and other debts and provide for your children's education and give your loved ones time away from work to grieve. So it is a really important insurance. Oh, apologies, I've just jumped a few and I won't scroll again. Total and permanent disability. So total and permanent disability is an insurance that may cover you if you become injured or ill and unable to work again in the future. This insurance is a one-off lump sum payment if you are totally and permanently disabled due to sickness or injury. The balance of your superannuation account is also usually paid out at the same time of making a total and permanent disability claim, or you may be eligible to start a pension. There can be an assessment period from the time you become totally and permanently disabled to the time you make a claim, depending on the insurance you have, but generally it's about 3 to 6 months. Just like death insurance, you can apply to increase or decrease this cover pending underwriting. Total and permanent disability can be important because it provides a lump sum payment to help cover many changes that could happen if you were to be injured or become ill, unable to ever work again. This could be replacing loss of income, but also making changes to the home, lifestyle changes, and possible changes to your cars. Income protection is another type of insurance option available through your superannuation. This insurance generally provides frequent payments if you are temporarily unable to work in your occupation because of injury or illness. There can also be a percentage of benefit paid to your super. The amount you are paid depends on your sum insured, which is calculated as a percentage of your income. Now, there is usually a waiting period that needs to be served before you can make a claim on income protection, and sometimes you may need to use all of your sick leave as well, depending on the type of income protection that you have. Income protection is important as it will help cover your usual spendings and living expenses while you are unable to work. Like the others, this insurance can be tailored pending the underwriting process. Now that we know what insurance we can have in our superannuation accounts, let's talk about how much insurance we may need. When we talk about how much insurance we may need, we want to take into consideration a few factors that can help us determine what level of cover may be right for us. This will help us understand the gap that we need to cover and where insurance will be needed to protect the ones we love or our income. Some questions we ask ourselves to help work this out could be, if something happened to my income, how much would just my partner's income provide? What assets will we have available to draw down from, if any? How much money would we need for future upbringing of our children, for example, childcare, schooling, university costs? I'm sure the list goes on. Is there a house that would be sold or a mortgage that needs to be paid? Understanding ongoing living expenses for you and your family, understanding what debts needs to be paid, either immediately or ongoing. What risk does my job carry, and is there additional risk to that? Do I have lifestyle factors to maintain, and how long until I'd like to retire does my income protection cover me for long enough? So there's a whole slew of questions available that you should be asking yourself when you're thinking about these type of insurances. All these questions will help create a picture of what it might look like if you no longer had an income or if you passed away. This can help you understand the amount of insurance you may need to make sure your loved ones are covered if anything were to happen to you. Now, after thinking about those key factors and determining what might need to be covered with insurance, it's a great idea to find out how much insurance we need. So I have a question for you all. Do you know how much insurance you have? Poll question just popped up. Please answer yes or no. Thanks for popping your results in. They're coming through to us. Very common question that we ask our members in our Super Health Check appointments as well, just to make sure that they understand and are going through these factors as we're going through today. So as you can see on the screen here, it's nearly a 50-50 split between people that do know how much they have and those who don't know. And I highly recommend for the people that don't know, or if people want to know more about their insurances, to book in a Super Health Check appointment. There will be a prompt to do this later in our presentation today to be able to ask these questions and find out more and know what the next steps are to understand more about their insurance. Thank you. Now, to help with this, we do have a really great calculator on our website as well that can help you calculate insurance that you need, and it's a great tool to use to give clarity around your insurance position. You can find it under the insurance tab on our website. And if you do book in for a Super Health Check appointment, we can show you where it is in that appointment as well. Brighter Super also offers personal financial advice around how much insurance you need through our single issue advice service. This is where a financial advisor can tell you how much insurance you need within your superannuation based on your personal circumstance and how much it would cost. Now, this service is at no additional cost to you. It's part of your membership. And we'll talk about those services again later in our presentation today. So how do we go about changing our level of cover to what we need? Now that we've thought about how much do we need, how do we go about changing it? A great way to increase your insurance for death only or death and total and permanent disability throughout, without going through that underwriting process we spoke about earlier, is to apply to increase your insurance due to a life event. Now, these can be different. There can be different terms and conditions, so it's important to check your individual policy. But some of these life events include getting married, getting a divorce, birth or adopting a child, and a new mortgage, or increasing your existing mortgage by at least $100,000. Now, to be eligible, you need to apply within 90 days of the event or within 90 days of the day we send your annual member statement and provide evidence of that event. So definitely have a look into your individual policy to find out more, or book in a Super Health Check, but that might be a great avenue for you. Now, the best place to find out all things insurance is in the insurance section on our website, brightersuper.com.au. You can find this under the superannuation tab across the top of our homepage and then click on insurance. Here you can find our insurance guides and PDSs for each insurance product, our insurance calculators to help determine your ideal level of insurance cover, and learn more about how insurance works within your Brighter Super account. Now, when looking at your insurance guides, please ensure you are reviewing the guide associated with the industry you work in. There are a couple on the website, so just making sure you're reading the one correctly for the industry that you work in. So when we are applying for our cover, you generally have the option of applying for unit-based cover or fixed dollar cover. Some of you might have heard this terminology, some of you may have not. So unit-based cover means you apply for a number of units and each unit holds a value. Generally, as we age, the value of these units decrease, meaning the value of your insurance cover will decrease, but the premiums may stay the same. Fixed dollar cover, on the other hand, as it sounds, means you apply for a set or fixed amount of insurance cover. This, which does not decrease as you get older. However, what does happen is the premiums may increase as you get older. Okay. So we also offer occupational risk rating options, which align with what type of work you do. So for example, white collar workers, which are those who predominantly work in an office space, may be eligible for a lower premium due to the level of risk at work, the level of risk at work in comparison to a blue collar worker who may work outdoors or in a more manual holding role. Members also have the option to transfer their existing insurance from another superannuation fund to Brighter Super, and that's usually as part of a consolidation. And we can facilitate that from our transfer of insurance form and have your insurance transferred over without needing to go through an underwriting process again. Now, it is important to note that if you transfer your insurance, your superannuation from one provider to another, your insurance cover with your new provider may be subject to a waiting period. So you should make sure you know whether you have continuous cover or whether there is a gap before doing any type of consolidating or transferring or opening of new accounts. Now, there are advantages to having insurance through your superannuation, such as premiums being taken straight from your superannuation account, so there is no need to find the money as an out-of-pocket expense. Sometimes your employer may even pay the premiums for you and it's built into your employment contract, which some of our members definitely have. Insurance is often provided as a default cover, meaning there is no need for a health check or physical to get these insurances. And premiums may be cheaper in superannuation, particularly if the fund uses group life cover, which we do. Premiums are generally tax deductible to the fund, and most super funds pass this tax deduction onto their members, whereas outside of super, only income protection premiums may be tax deductible. The deduction of insurance premiums from your super erode the value of your balance over time. So members have the option to make additional contributions to their super to offset that eroding effect. We can help you with your salary sacrifice calculator, which is located on the website if you're wanting to think about adding additional contributions into super as well. Now, some members might want to know, how does someone make a claim if something happened to them or a loved one? And what's the process it will go through? Now, each claim is different and personalised to a person's circumstance and situation. However, this is a general process of events. First, either yourself or someone else, in the event of your death, obviously, would need to contact the fund to advise you would like to make a claim. If you are unable to make the claim yourself, you can also start this process by logging into your member online account and clicking Make a Claim in the insurance section. Once this has happened, if applying online, you will complete the forms online or download the forms to be filled out. If not, apologies again. I said I wouldn't click that, but I did. So please bear with me and apologise for all the skipping of pages. Thank you. So once this has happened, if applying online, you will complete the forms online or download the forms to be filled out. If not, the fund or the insurer will send forms to be completed by the member or beneficiaries. Once the forms are completed, they need to be returned to the insurer to be assessed. From here, there may be some back and forth to make sure the insurer has all the information they need to assess the claim. Next, the insurer makes a decision on the claim and will forward that to the trustee of the super fund. The trustee is by law responsible for the members' outcomes in both insurance and in superannuation, which is why we work with the insurance companies on the members' behalf. The trustee will then review the decision and advise of the decision to the member or the beneficiary or the claimant. And if it is approved, the trustee will then pay the claim to the relevant claimants. Now, following what we have learned in this presentation today, what are the next steps? First of all, check your insurance policies. It's important to understand what you're insured for currently, and then you can start the process of making sure you're correctly covered. If you're wanting to know your current level of cover, it's easy to find this through your member online account. Once you log in, you can find the insurance tab on the left-hand side. This will show you your current level of cover, as well as options if you want to make changes to your insurance. Next thing to check out is your occupational risk rating. This is a nice and easy way to click through your member online account in the insurance section. By making changes to your risk rating, you might be able to save yourself a little bit of money in premium, so it's definitely worth checking out. Determine the level of cover you need. So this might be a good opportunity to speak with your loved ones about insurance and understanding what cover you would need to have in place if something were to happen to you. Speak about the 9 key factors to consider, which we saw earlier, and use the insurance calculator on our website to find out what cover and how much might be needed. And lastly, book in a super health check, as I've mentioned a couple of times today, or get some personal financial advice with the fund. So here is our super health check information. And as a boutique fund, you also have this option to book into a 30-minute super health check at no additional cost. So as part of today's pre-submitted questions, we have also received some questions that are more personal in nature. If you have a question and would like to discuss your personal situation, please book in a super health check. The super health check covers a variety of areas and importantly reviews your insurance with you. If you would like to book now, there is a QR code on the screen. You'll also receive a link to book a super health check in the coming days alongside today's webinar recording. We also offer a range of personal advice options suited to individual member needs. So if you're looking for specific information about making contributions or investment strategies, our intra-fund advice team can help. This could be a great opportunity to have a financial advisor provide advice around how much insurance you need for your personal circumstance. This is for insurance just in your superannuation account. Book in an over-the-phone meeting with a financial advisor, and it's at no additional cost for that service. We also offer both a scaled and comprehensive personal advice service. Now, this service takes a complete view of your financial situation to tailor advice to suit your individual needs. It is a face-to-face meeting with one of our advice team in Brisbane and various regions over Queensland. Appointments may also be arranged via digital channels if you prefer as well. Now, the cost will depend on the complexity of the advice, and this cost may be deducted from your superannuation balance in your accumulation account. 2 of the most common questions members ask as they approach retirement are, how much super do I need to retire and do I have enough super? A retirement health check with one of our financial advisors will help you answer these questions. It's never too early to start planning for retirement, so talk to us to find out how we can help. Now, similar to today's insurance webinar, our seminar webpage includes a range of upcoming webinar topics. Keep an eye on this page as we update it quite regularly. I've covered a lot of ground today. You can also visit the resources tab and info sheets on our website for more information. If you register for any of the webinars, regardless of if you attend, you will receive a copy of the recording the day following the webinar. So that's really handy to know if you accidentally forget. Now, we have tried to answer as many questions throughout our webinar today as we can, but I will invite Laura back on to screen to ask any questions we couldn't get to in the Q&A chat. During the Q&A, I'll just revert back to our Super Health Check slide to give you all additional time should you wish to book in a Super Health Check appointment.
Thanks, Kelly. I did have one question that I would like to answer. I think it would be quite beneficial for the audience to hear as a group. But the question was from Dale, and in relation to, if I swap my existing life insurance policy over, is there a lag time for the new insurance, as I don't want to be without cover? Fantastic question. And generally what we recommend to our members is that, or anyone who's wanting to undergo this process, generally we recommend that you wait until you have some sort of confirmation to say that the new insurance is approved. As Kelly mentioned in the webinar, there can also be a wait time, so do consider that as well. But as we mentioned, it is absolutely worthwhile just waiting for that confirmation before you consider any consolidation. That's all.
Great. Thanks so much, Laura. And thank you those who did submit questions and submitted questions before our webinar today. Hopefully we've covered that all for you. So thanks again for taking the time to come along and attend our webinar today. One last question before we bring things to a close. Overall, how satisfied were you with today's webinar? Please submit below. Whilst doing that, thank you so much for joining us and attending today. We really hope that you took something out of today's session, and we hope to speak to you all soon. Thank you again and have a good afternoon.